So the first four topics can just be consolidated into a general point that we can call money. And money is basically anything that can be used in exchange. And what it does is it helps us avoid barter situations. What that means then is that money fulfills certain goals, certain roles here. The reason why we try to avoid barter situations is that the problem of double coincidence of wants typically emerges. So double coincidence of wants means that it can become difficult sometimes to find someone that's willing to offer something that someone else wants. So because that's difficult, then the result is, have you ever met a person that doesn't want money, right? Most of us have not. So because everyone wants money, we don't typically have to worry about a barter situation. But in my case, right, the thing that I know is economics. So if the only thing I have to offer is economic skills, right, pretty quickly I'll run out of people to give that service to, and the net result would be I would starve. So money. Let's ask this question. What form does it have to take? I mean, does it have to be paper? Can it be coins? Can it only be coins? Can it only be paper? Can it be electronic? Does it have to be in physical form? Quite honestly, economists don't answer these questions, and quite frankly, we don't care. In some sense, what is considered money is socially determined. But money does have to do four things. To be money, it must serve as a medium of exchange, meaning it must be the thing that is the thing that other people want and will accept in exchange for something else. It has to serve as a store of value, meaning that it preserves some level of value over time. It's a unit of account, meaning that when you see prices or you are told your salary, something along those lines, it's expressed to you in whatever that money is. And it's a standard of deferred payment, meaning that when loans are made out or when you loan others money, what will you ask for 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now? Will you be asking for dollars? Will you be asking for what currency? Whatever it is that we choose to be money, it has to do these four things. Now, the US dollar and every other currency in the world is a fiat currency. And what that means is that by fiat, it means essentially that the government says it is so. So because the government says it has to be accepted, then it must be accepted. If you look on your dollar bill, a dollar bill of any kind, it will have a note on it that says, this note is legal tender for all debts public and private. And so because it says that it's basically the government saying this is what has to be accepted for cash, the US dollar. So we don't live in a world where someone really says we don't take cash. It's incredibly rare. This is very different from a commodity currency. And there is no country in the world that I know of that operates using a commodity currency. This essentially means that the currency is backed by something. Gold, silver, something of value. You just don't see these kinds of things. It obviously makes people trust that kind of currency more than a fiat currency, especially if you don't trust the government. But for the most part, people trust the government and trust the value of the money. If you don't, then you'd be the kind of person that buys gold instead. And I'm sure we've all encountered those kind of people. Now, money takes different definitions depending on its level of liquidity. By that I mean M1 is the most liquid, meaning that when we say liquidity, we basically mean that it is as good as cash. Okay? So, that would be cash, checks, and traveler's checks. These are basically things that we know are basically able to be used as cash that we can immediately use. Then we have M2, which is equal to everything that's already in M1 plus some less liquid things. That would be things like a savings account, a CD. So you can see that what we're basically saying is we're adding some things that it would take you a little bit longer to convert it straight into cash. Because in a savings account, technically you can't take it out for a certain number of days. And with a CD, a certificate of deposit, you have to wait a certain number of days before, or you have to pay a penalty if you want to turn it into something else. Okay. Then you've got M3, which is everything in M2, which already includes everything in M1, plus things that are even less liquid. These would be things like jumbo CDs, things like that. In this whole discussion here, it's important to note that credit cards are not money. Credit cards are merely a means that we convert, basically, they're basically loans. That's all they do is they are loans that the credit card company gives you, and if you pay it back in that month that you incur it, you typically don't pay interest. Otherwise, it's just a simple loan.